All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today, we're talking about foods that force you to eat slowly. It should be common knowledge to you that the slower you eat, the more weight you'll lose because the slower you eat, the less calories you consume. It's that simple. The faster you eat, the more calories you consume. That's just a rule of life. And there's a lot of reasons why this is so. Okay. So, the first one, and it is true if you ever heard this, that it does take your body a little while to send your brain the we're full signal. Okay. So it depends. People are different, but it can take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes on average, rule of thumb. And there are lots of different things going on. So this is a real thing. And so it's hormonal. It is stretch receptors in your stomach. It is, feelings and nerve endings in your intestines. It is things that tell your brain that we've had enough, stop eating. So if you're eating foods where you can eat 1,500 calories in 5 minutes, you're never going to get that message. And you've already put all of that calorie into your body. Now, if you eat foods that cause you to eat slower naturally, what ends up happening is maybe you're able to put 750 calories into your body by the time your brain gets the signal. And that obviously is going to make it a lot easier for you to lose weight because you naturally consume less calories. So, what are foods that force you to eat slowly? This really isn't a trick question, but I want you to take a second and think about it. What food do you think would force you to eat slowly? And the answer is whole natural foods, primarily fiber, meat, things you have to chew a lot to be able to swallow. That's the secret. And when you start to make a reference point in your mind for whole natural foods and processed food stuff, you quickly start to realize that the processed food stuff, in some ways, is kind of pre-digested, is a good way to think about it. And one of the main ways they pre-digest processed foods is that they take a lot of the fiber out. So what you're getting is foods that are to some degree pre-digested and very easy to eat quickly. They are literally, to some degrees, in some situations, manufactured, processed, engineered, these processed food stuffs to literally start to dissolve as soon as it hits your tongue. Whereas if you put a piece of carrot or apple on your tongue, it's not going to dissolve. Okay. So when processed foods are made, an aspect to how they create the foods is literally called meltdown. How fast does it dissolve on your tongue and start absorbing into your body? Because the faster those processed food stuffs absorb into your body and bloodstream, the more addictive they become. That's what defines addiction, is the amount of time between when we take the action and when we get the result. So this is the reason why, crack cocaine is a lot more addictive than powder cocaine, because when you smoke it, it turns into, smoke form in your lungs. And so you're able to absorb a lot more of it quickly. That makes it more addictive. So when it comes to food, the faster you're able to consume this food and the faster it absorbs into your body, the more addictive it is. So a lot of processed food engineering is built around the idea to make it absorb really fast, which simultaneously makes it faster to eat because it doesn't take much chewing. As soon as it goes in your mouth, it starts melting down. You can swallow it, compared to fruits, vegetables, whole grains, meats, these things you have to chew. Okay. So when you start adding more whole natural foods into your diet, what you're simultaneously doing is you're slowing down your eating. And slowing down your eating is almost always going to cause you to eat less calories. So you don't have to completely stop eating the processed food stuff, but you should start to want to add more whole natural foods into your meals as often as you can. Because again, what it's going to do is send you this signal that we're fine, we're good, we've had enough food. Because with a lot of the processed food stuff now, we can blast, before that signal even gets set off, we've already been done eating for 5 minutes. Okay. And so this is one of the primary reasons why processed foods are so difficult to maintain your weight on. So keep this in mind. And if you want support mentally and mindset wise to actually do this, click the link in my bio or go to Program Yourself Thin and get the free hypnosis session that I made for you. And watch the video I made and get on that list anyways, because again, there is a how to choose your goal weight training coming out. It'll probably be out this weekend and it is a game changer. So you'll get that for free as well. So go check that out. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. because that's what I'm here for, even though I know I'm here a little late today. Big D says, how much protein does a female age 66 need per day? I am the wrong person to ask about that because I do not think it's nearly as much as you're probably being told from other sources. I am of the belief that protein consumption has been wildly overstated. I think we live in an environment where there's a lot of money to be made off of meat, off of protein powders, off of protein shakes. And I think that these numbers that protein advocates are putting out there are wildly high. Now, that's coming from someone who's a vegetarian, veganish, who doesn't consume a lot of protein and hasn't for 25 years. So I'm not a doctor, so you would have to find someone who's more knowledgeable about that than I am. Yes, it does seem that women 60 plus may want to consume more protein than men 60 plus, the same weight range. Is that true? Again, I'm the wrong person to ask, but I would believe, and I do believe, that a lot of the protein, I think protein's wildly overstated, is what I think. And what am I basing that on? I'm not just making that up as some random thing I just made up and pulled out of the air. I base that on the Blue Zone study, where they studied the 5 places on Earth that had the highest percentage of people reaching their hundreds. And they went to these places and interviewed these people who were all thriving, and found out that without exception, all of them had lived on diets that were primarily, you're not going to believe it, carb-based and relatively low protein. So I think that there's plenty of evidence that you don't need more than 100 grams of protein, 130 grams of protein. I think these numbers are wildly inflated, and I think there's a profit motive behind them. That's what I think. But anyways, so Joyce says, what's good for muscle loss? Again, I don't, just consuming protein is not just going to give you muscle anyways, just so we know. And, fruits and vegetables turn into protein as well, just so you understand. So again, I'm a belief that the protein guidance that's in fashion right now is wildly overstated. And I think that there's plenty of evidence to look and see societies and civilizations, giant scale studies of them, who have lived very healthy, happy lives with much lower protein levels than are currently being spouted off from a lot of influencers and people like that. So that's my general feeling on that. But go research it yourself too, because that is not my ultimate specialty. I will admit that. So I just have my opinions. Yeah. But my opinions are based on a lot of people I've worked with. So there is that piece too. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Anything about weight loss is welcome. Let's see. Wilder Mind says, sorry, but I disagree so strongly. Upping my protein changed my physique drastically. Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I wouldn't disagree with your experience. Okay. But I can't tell Wilder Mind. So I don't know if you're a man or woman. I don't know what your age range is. I don't know what you did in addition to upping the protein. I know for a fact you didn't just up your protein and change nothing else and have a dramatically different physique. So, I think the protein thing is rooted in watching men and women that also do a lot of resistance training, a lot of working out, and live a relatively strict lifestyle. And there's no question in that situation that the more protein you consume with that lifestyle piece, you're going to get physiological effects from it. I don't disagree with that. But what I do disagree with is Wilder Mind saying upping my protein changed my physique dramatically. There's so much information missing there. And I can almost guarantee, if you're still here, Wilder Mind, that you didn't just up your protein and your physique just magically changed. And you're probably, well, no shit, Jim. Fair enough. But I want everyone else to know this, because the diet industry revolves around the idea that it's a magical fix. And I think protein is one of the current magical fixes. I think they've framed it as a magical fix. Just boost your protein level and your body's going to start building muscle. I think there's a lot of subtle messaging going through there. So with Wilder Mind, I don't mind that disagreeing, and I respect your experience as being true too. I don't disagree with that. However, I think there's a lot of detail that was not put out there. And it just sounds like, oh, I upped my protein and my body changed dramatically. And I bet if we went into detail, maybe you were working out a lot. And then when you upped your protein, you start getting more gains. Fine. But I bet there was a big working out component to that drastic physical transformation. And most of my people that I work with are not going to, and this goes for most of you folks, most of you are not going to work out in a very excessive way. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. If you love working out, go ahead, knock yourselves out. But the vast majority of women I work with, and most of the people I work with or my clients are women, are not going to work out excessively, myself included. Don't love it. And not knocking it, but again, it's a big world out there. There's room for all of us, and you don't have to want to work out a lot to lose weight. As a matter of fact, you don't have to work out at all to lose weight, and you do not have to eat a lot of protein to lose weight. So, he says, and fiber is underemphasized. Yes, absolutely. Fiber is absolutely underemphasized. There's no question about that piece. No doubt. What is your specialty? My specialty, I would have to say primarily I'm a hypnotist, NLP trainer, strategic coach, yoga instructor, are all my certifications. But really what I kind of consider myself is kind of a weight mastery coach, trainer. I teach people how to do this and then I help them actually do it, is what I think. But most of I would say the majority of my process is aimed at the mind, although there's also lots of actual strategy of what to do as well. But I would say that the majority of what I do is aimed at your mindset, your subconscious mind specifically, and how to program your subconscious mind to be a thin and healthy person for the rest of your life on your autopilot. So I would say my primary specialty is being a hypnotist, an NLP trainer, and a coach. That's what I would say. Donna says NIH recommends recommends 8 grams per kilogram of weight. Kilogram, yeah, 0.8, right. Grams per kilogram of weight. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wildermind says, I'm a woman, 30s. I do lift weights, which I think all able-bodied people should. Not arguing. I just think it's deeper than what you're saying. I don't disagree, Wilder, but I want to make crystal clear what I am talking about here is weight loss. And I make a very big distinction to this, to the point that I'm about to make a post on this. And it's a funny one to me because it's a picture my mom took of me at the beach a couple years ago. And, listen, I know I did an interview series, 15 years ago called The Elite Body, where I interviewed some of the top fitness trainers, nutritionists, coaches on the planet. And about, how to get the best results, the mindset behind all the rest of it. And what I realized, they all looked at me and they would call me skinny fat. So I make the joke that, when it comes to weight loss, somehow it's been mixed up with the beauty industry. The beauty industry is really, a lot of people in their mind think of the after picture, what they're going to look like. They think about, definition, tone, how they look, abs, all this stuff. Not knocking it. Okay. I know that's what everyone wants, but I think for most people, they're never going to get that, myself included. And there's nothing wrong with that. So they're like, whoa, yeah. But it's like, if you're like 80 pounds overweight, like the first goal, let's just get the weight down, and I think sometimes, and a lot of times, the idea of like having this defined body is an illusion and not even that desired for most people. So the reason I reference back to that picture of me at the beach is that you would look at me probably and say like, oh, you're skinny fat. If you were a bodybuilder, someone who's like really in, I don't want to say great shape because it's not great shape. It's an aesthetic look. Fine. It's fine. However, people with that aesthetic look that lift weights all the time and are well defined and they're real into their bodies would look at me and say, oh, you're skinny fat. Not interested in that, which is fine. Okay. But the vast majority of you should be learning from me, because I will probably, out of anyone, will give you the easiest way to get to your goal weight. And there's a huge difference between getting your goal weight and getting into like peak aesthetic shape of what you may consider to be peak aesthetic shape. And I'm not talking about that. And so when you start talking about getting into peak aesthetic shape, Yeah, now you're talking about, yeah, you're probably going to want protein supplementation because what you're doing to some degree, a little unnatural. It's a little unnatural. What do you want? In all the history of humans, most people have not lived their life around the ideal of looking a certain way that you look when you lift a lot of weights and you train a lot of cardio and you keep a certain body fat percentage. So I am not, if that's what you want to do, I walk your path. Okay. But I think it is a lot easier to just live at your goal weight. And for most of us, that's the goal that's going to give you the best quality of life. Because if you're like me, I went through this where I said, oh, abs, I want abs, I want abs. And I never really did it. I was like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm a master of my weight. I'm like, why don't I do the ab thing? It dawns on me, oh, right. I don't give a shit. I'm married. My shirt's off 8 hours a year. It's not worth all that extra effort to look down and say, oh, there's abs. It's not going to improve my quality of life that much. It'd be cool. And that's about it. And I think for most of you, it's very similar. I know a lot of you think you want to wear a bathing suit to the beach, but I'll let you know something. You're never going to feel great in a bathing suit at the beach. Tough shit. Sorry to tell you. How do I know this? Listen, I remember having a conversation with someone who was a competitive bodybuilder. She was a competitive bodybuilder, got on stage in a tiny bikini, flexing her muscles, and won awards. She was awesome, amazing. And I said, what was it like? 5 seconds before you're about to go on stage, you are just at peak shape. 0.0001% of the population on earth ever looks like this. How does that feel? She goes, I'm just noticing more flaws. I'm noticing this isn't good and this part's not. It never ends, folks. You know, you really can't do it. So again, I'm Wilder mind. I don't disagree with what they're saying, but their goal is different than what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about peak aesthetic shape here at all. And I think you'd have no problem finding people to help you do that. I think what you have a harder time finding is people that are going to show you an easy, comfortable way to live at your goal weight for the rest of your life. And if that's the goal, a lot of protein is absolutely not necessary. So I agree with you there, Wilder. I do think it's deeper than what you're saying, but I think that your goals are probably more physical, peak aesthetic shape. And I know a lot of you think that your goal is peak physical aesthetic shape, but it's not. It's decent aesthetic shape. Will probably serve you well because I will let you know, me at my goal weight, skinny fat or not, who gives a shit? I wear my clothes all the time. All you know is, I don't know, he looks thin, he looks like in good shape. Oh, great. You know, you're gonna see my clothes off. I'll put that picture up though, because I don't give a shit. And I'm the type of person you should be learning how to lose your weight from. Not people that are all jacked up. You're not like them, and you probably don't want to live like that or work out like that. Anyways. Yeah. Okay. Waller says, yeah, usually just changing one thing won't work. That's fair. Yes, absolutely. Appreciate the respectful discourse. Yeah, I appreciate it too. I always appreciate other points of view. Absolutely. And again, I don't disagree with you. I think what we would find if we were having a conversation very quickly, we just realize our goals are just a little different, you know. And what you're going to do, yes, if you want to build peak aesthetic shape, I think a lot of protein is absolutely, I don't want to say it's essential, but it's definitely gonna be a lot help. It's gonna be very helpful. Although, you know, I do see stories of vegan bodybuilders and stuff like that. So I suppose anything's possible, but who knows? They're probably supplementing in some way, you know, as well. But anyways, and Icon says, do you think it boosts your metabolism? I'm not sure. Do you think you can boost your metabolism, or do you think protein boosts your metabolism? Protein doesn't boost your metabolism. If you built more muscle, that could boost your metabolism a bit by raising your base metabolic rate, because muscle burns more calories than fat. Can you boost your metabolism? Not in the way you're thinking. You know, you can't really just change your metabolic rate to be faster. You can, but in essence, you can, but not in the way that we tend to think. Like, there's no pill you're going to take that's going to boost your metabolism. That's not like with the GLP-1s. You don't take a GLP-1 to boost your metabolism, and now you eat the same, but now you just burn a bunch of calories. Okay. But there are ways to, in essence, change your metabolism is how I think about it. And I think those ways are what you're putting in your body. So if you transform your calories and start eating more whole natural foods, in essence, that's going to transform your metabolism. It's going to change your hormonal functioning, your biochemistry, your appetite signaling. So it's going to have an effect like a changed metabolism. As you start improving your lifestyle, a same type of thing. It's going to start to show up as if your metabolism magically started to change, changing both your food consumption, the quality of it, and the lifestyle factors are going to start to change your microbiome. As your microbiome starts to optimize, that's going to have the effect of what you would consider to be a increased metabolism. So again, I think increased metabolism is just thought of very simplistically. And there's no way to just boost your metabolism. So it's just do the same shit and lose weight, but there are things you can do that would have a similar effect to what you mean by that. So hopefully that makes sense. It is Kent. I got what you said, Ken. I appreciate what you're writing that back to me. I love all your feedbacks too, by the way. So it's awesome that the rubber band thing worked for you so well. All right, so Ken says, I wanted to play with my grandkids and get up off the floor easier. Unexpected result of PYT is a much calmer life. Hard to explain, but it feels great. Yeah, again, program yourself thin. I'm so excited for you all to get this choose your goal weight training. I think it is profound, just a shift. Program yourself thin is on the precipice of its biggest improvement of all time. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. And it's a testament to sticking with things. I'm just so excited. I'm so fired up for my current clients, my future clients, and all of you, even just if you get just to pick your goal weight training, I think it's profound and helpful. But anyways, Ken writes to me, and Ken's one of those people that does inspires me to keep on moving because he's getting amazing results. But yes, it's not just about being a number on a scale. It's about I've almost said the little things like a dipshit, but it's the big things like be able to get on up and down off the floor and play with your grandkids. Be able to get up and down the floor. Fuck the grandkids. Just be able to get up and down off a floor. It may sound like nothing. I don't know. But I can't tell you the number of clients I've worked with where that as a goal and them doing it has just been a huge source of pride and happiness and hopefulness and just wonderful emotions. So yeah, but again, yeah, Ken, it can feel hard to explain. That's how program yourself thin is. That is one of the downsides of it, is that a lot of the things you experience are these subtle things that are difficult to explain, but it feels wonderful. But I'm proud of you, Ken, because again, you've put the work in and you're really utilizing the program. And so you get everything you deserve, Thanks, Karen. Blue Moon says it's 1 p.m. and I'm out of calories. Today should be fun. Yeah. That's, again, boy, if that's that diet mindset. Oh boy. So you got one or two paths ahead of you. They both are terrible. One is that you won't eat anything else the rest of the day and you'll be really hungry, miserable, and you will associate being miserable, deprived, angry, pissed off, depressed, and dieting and weight loss together, which is what all of you are at now. If you're overweight and you think about your weight 24 hours a day, but you don't actually do anything to make it change, it's because you've been cooked. You've been completely officially conditioned by the diet industry. And what that means is that you now associate pain to losing weight. That's why you don't do anything, because you think about what you got to do and subconsciously your nervous system feels pain. So you avoid it. And you, Blue Moon, if you don't eat anything else the rest of the day, you're going to do a lot of that work for the diet industry. You're going to feel really shitty physically, mentally, emotionally. You won't eat, and you're going to link that to weight loss. And that's going to serve to sabotage you for the rest of your life. The other path is that you could eat something and you could start to change how you're doing this so that you realize it's not about some fucking streak of how many days you can go at this many calories. It's about learning how to live with yourself in a more encouraging, supportive, comfortable way where you start to lose weight. I already know Blue Moon. I've never talked to Blue Moon in my life, and I already know Blue Moon's calories that they're aiming for is probably 1,000 or 1,200 calories or less. And so it's a ridiculously low number, and you're trying to do that every single day. And you're going to do it for 3 days to 10 days, probably, then quit and go back to your 3,000 calories a day instead of focusing on 2,000 calories a day. Let's do that. So it's comfortable. So it's relatively easy. 2,500 calories. But Jim, I won't lose as much weight then. Yeah. Well, guess what? You're not going to lose any weight this way. Not when we zoom out and look at this month and next month with what you're on, Blue Moon, I can almost guarantee there will be zero weight loss. Tara, sorry to sound like a jerk, but it's, I'm not speaking to you. I love you. I hate the diet mindset. And that's what I'm here for. Melancholy says, I personally desire a lighter, more feminine ballet type body over a muscular one. So I love the shift in protein recommendations here. Yeah. Also have a goal to embrace smaller portions. I just serve myself too much and am a clean plate club alum. Would like to make serving less the norm. Yeah, that's one of the main things we work on. But what you see, Melancholy, is that the habit you would be working on if you were in the program is your portion sizes. Okay. And so we would break down your portion sizes into one habit that typically when you eat, and especially probably at dinner and lunch, you consume too much and that feels normal. And so when you try and change it, it feels weird. So that's one of the main things we would focus on changing over time. And we would make the new norm a smaller portion, and that would make you a smaller portion. What's up, Just Jade? Just Jade says the protein and strength training is less about physique for women as we age and more about muscle preservation. Tons of health reasons women specifically need to hang on to muscle mass as we age. Yeah, I get that. I get that storyline. I don't disagree with it. But what I always say to people that I know that way of thinking a lot because a lot of my clients come into the program with that way of thinking. I'm not arguing in a perfect world that if you're a woman and you consume lots of protein and do lots of strength training, that would be ideal. Not arguing that. Okay. But on the other side, how do you explain the quality of life that people in the blue zones experience, women specifically? How do you explain the quality of life that women in these 5 areas experience 60 to 100? They're happy, healthy, energized, strong, mobile, flexible, independent, and they're all consuming relatively low protein diets. So, how does this concept of needing high protein and strength training square with that? Now, what are we looking at? We're looking at what women in America? Because in America, people right from the birth are eating shit diets. So again, I think the protein thing is overstated. It's easy to understand. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but how do you square people living in the blue zones that live 60 to 100 and are happy, healthy, high functioning women that aren't strength training and aren't eating a lot of protein? And there's lots and lots of evidence of that. There's very little evidence of women aging, consuming lots of protein and doing lots of strength training. What populations are you pointing to? What population of women between 60 and 100 live high protein, consume high protein diets and do lots of strength training that you're pointing to? I know there's studies, but I'm talking about big scale population studies like the blue zones. And again, I'm not arguing. I don't think you're going to go off track consuming protein and strength training. But what I do think you're going to run into potentially, if you care about weight, is you're going to find sometimes that it's difficult to lose weight trying to hit your protein goals. And that can potentially be an issue. Anyways, not a simple answer. I don't think it's black or white, but it's just want to put the other side out there. Melancholy says, yes, attainable and sustainable is what I'm after. I don't want to live at a gym to hold on to muscle. I don't need to live outside of it. Functional exercise appeals to me more than a gym. Same with me. Every time I go try to do the gym thing, I absolutely dread and hate it. I hate it. And yeah, I have been working resistance training into my daily routine now. And I've started with push-ups and squats. And I'm up to 40 push-ups, 40 squats every weekday. Pretty proud of myself. Pretty happy with that. And in addition, I do yoga and play basketball pretty regularly, especially as it gets warmer. So yeah, I agree. I'm way more inspired and motivated by functional fitness than aesthetic fitness. X says, is it true that if people lose weight, their metabolism slow down when they will plateau? Yeah, when you lose weight, your base metabolic rate lowers because there's just less to take care of. Think of it that way, right? The less mass, the less energy it takes to take care of it. Okay, so your metabolism does shrink a little bit. But I don't think that's what causes the plateau, although it's a factor. Sure, it's a factor, right? When you're going to get to your final maintenance point, yeah, your metabolism is obviously a piece of the equation. But I think ultimately that the main point of the equation of what your weight's going to be is your average calorie consumption. That's the main variable that you can control, is your calorie consumption. And there's lots and lots of ways to influence your calorie consumption in a way that's relatively comfortable and sustainable. And yeah. But yeah, your metabolism is going to slow down a little bit. But again, I hate calorie calculators. I think they're one of the most evil things that we've come up with so far. I think they mess with people so hard. The calorie calculators are bullshit. They're guesstimates. I think they set people up for failure. They create expectations that are ridiculous. They don't pan out to be true. They cause you to feel discouraged. They don't take into account metabolic adaptations that end up happening. There's just too many factors. So not a huge fan of calorie calculators and base metabolic rates to figure out your goal weight and where you're going to be. But yeah, now I eat 200 grams of cabbage every day. Will I keep losing weight if I keep going? And I drink whey protein. Oh, yikes. I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest with you, X, and this is just a knee-jerk reaction from a guy who doesn't really know your situation. So take it as such. But when I hear 200 grams of cabbage and whey protein, it sounds like a diet. You know, what's a diet? A diet's something you're going to do for a little while. A diet's a temporary thing you do to lose weight. And therein lies the problem. It's a temporary thing, which means you're going to lose weight and you're going to put it back on. Are you going to eat 200 grams of cabbage and drink whey protein for the rest of your life? Is that the life you want to lead? Eating fucking cabbage and whey protein shakes? I doubt it. Because if you were a person who didn't give a shit about food, then you probably wouldn't be in this position in the first place. Shout out to all you dieters. Like, if you struggle with your weight, it's because you probably like food. Okay. So the idea that you're going to eat fucking cabbages and drink protein shakes for the rest of your life. Why? No, you're not. You're not going to do that. You'll do it for a little while because losing weight's fun when it's happening. And then you're going to get bored and tired of it. No shit. Then you put the weight back on. And then you go the whole thing again, which you all have gone through. How many times you all lost weight and then put it back on? I call it diet or dementia. I don't know. I got my theories, but I can't explain it. I don't know how a person, I work with someone, it's 25 grand to work with me privately. You got to understand that someone that's going to fork over 25 grand is, you know, we would consider them to be pretty intelligent most of the time. I'm not saying everyone's got money is intelligent, but the people I work with are almost always entrepreneurs, executives, high level professional people. So it's not an intelligence thing. They're very, very smart in every way that we measure intelligence. But they all exhibit the same thing, along with everyone. All dieters seem to do this, where it's like they have lost weight a number of times. I've never worked with someone who's never lost weight before. Everyone I've worked with has lost weight a number of times and then put it back on. And it's always the same story. They do something really intense and extreme, and the weight goes down, and then they can't keep it up, don't want to keep it up. They don't like living that way. It's a shitty quality of life. And then put the weight back on. This is the thing. I can't say this enough because this just goes right by your minds. But you can't just look at, I had this conversation yesterday. I don't know if Dawn's here, but I thought this was such a good conversation because she's as enlightened with this stuff as anyone. She's been with me in the group program for going on 2 years. I mean, she's a master at this stuff, a master of her weight. She weighs exactly what she wants to weigh. But she goes, yeah, I'd love to be, it would be 10 pounds lighter. Would it be better? Yeah, of course it'd be better. No, of course it wouldn't be better. Right. And we're conditioned to think that, oh yeah, being 10 pounds lighter would be better because we've been conditioned so hard to only look at one side of the fucking equation, your weight. So, oh yeah, being 10 pounds lighter be better. Well, yeah, it'd be better if you just could magically, I could snap my fingers and you were 10 pounds lighter. Sure. I guess that's better. But that's never going to happen. You have to make 10 pounds worth of difference in your behavior. You've got to eliminate 10 pounds worth of food and habit and lifestyle to make that happen. There is a cost to get this benefit. And you have to take both of them into account, right? It's like, think of your favorite food, right? Whatever. Think of your favorite ice cream. Okay. So it's like, oh, is it pleasurable? Do you like eating it? Yeah. Okay. Right. Sure. Right. But what if I said it's $10,000 for a pint of it? Are you still tempted? Or you're like, oh, fuck that. It's not worth it. Right? We do this all the time. But when it comes to our weight, we just have been conditioned. Oh, yeah, I want that lowest weight ever. Well, yeah, but you got to live a certain way to achieve that. And most of you have chosen a weight that you don't want to live at. You're not willing to live at it. Isn't that crazy? For most of you, the goal weight you're thinking about and have been thinking about for decades is a weight you're not even willing to live at. For you to live at that weight, you'd have to like really restrict your calories, which restricts your quality of life, and you're not willing to do it. The weight in and of itself is not the fucking goal, folks. The weight itself doesn't make you happy. I know you think it does. What if you got really, really sick and you start losing weight? Are you happy about it? Of course not. You can lose, all of you know you could lose weight starting today if you just stop eating. But you're not going to do that. Why? Because you'd be miserable. Just drinking sure drinks, just so you get enough nourishment, just so you can survive. You'll lose weight. Why wouldn't you do that? Because it's a shitty quality of life. You don't want to do it. That's why you're not doing your fucking diet. You don't want to go keto. Keto's the dumbest shit to come down the pike. And they just keep dressing it up differently. I mean, where are we going to be at 5 years from now? What do we start with? Atkins, paleo, keto, carnivore. We're a carnivore. I mean, I don't know where we go from here. Where do we go? What do we do? Just eat. Don't even cook the meat. Just eat the fucking, get carcasses sent to you and just eat it off the bone. I don't know where we're going with this. You're not a carnivore. How about that? Do you not know you're not a carnivore? Listen, I will admit, I'm not very good at science. I wasn't that great at science in school. But one thing I remember, is that they have different classifications of what you are based on your teeth, your claws or lack thereof, your intestines. And I'm here to tell you, humans are not carnivores. You ever seen a carnivore? If I throw you a rat, you going to eat it? You tear through its skin? Kill something with your claws? You know? But it's all the rage. It's all the rage because dieters suffer from dieter dementia and they just live. Dieters are the most gullible people on the planet. I don't know. Listen, I love you all. It's the whole thing. Like, I love the dieter, hate the diet. That's where I'm at. So I'm here every day for free to try and help snap you out of the dieting trance, but I can't snap you out of it by telling you stupid stories. Yeah, there's Jody, right? Jody's the program killing it. Another weight master. I'm going to certify her. Weight master. I raised my goal weight. I easily maintain and enjoy my pleasure days. Yes. Did you know you could raise your goal weight, folks? Most of you, I could put any one of you on the spot. I literally, very few things are 100%. The closest thing I've gotten to 100%. Number one is that there's no right or wrong. It's only what works for you. That I've noticed that over and over again. Number two is that people need to structure their eating. I've never seen someone who's successfully mastered their weight who doesn't structure their eating in some way. And then the third one is that I know that your goal weight is bullshit, that it doesn't mean much to you. If anything, your goal weight probably means negative stuff to you. Like when you think your goal weight, you get, I don't want to, failure. That doesn't work. Oh, I got there once and I failed. And it's associated. Your goal weight is associated with failure, stress, pain, deprivation. That's what the diet industry has been trying to do to you. And it's worked. So yeah, I'm here to tell you your goal weight's bullshit. You never picked your goal weight. Your goal weight was picked for you by your parents, your friends, your doctor, a chart, a magazine article. You didn't pick your goal weight based on what goal weight is going to give you the best quality of life, make you the happiest person you can be. You never even thought in those terms in your life. But don't worry, I'm here for you. And I got the training and it is free. It's gonna be free, and it's a good one. It's a real good one. I'm telling you. I did the first draft training of it to my core people in the program, and they all loved it. So they gave me the stamp of approval. I'm putting a few tweaks on it, but it's fucking awesome, and it is a game changer. It's going to change the game for you, and it's free. So I'm excited to get that to you. So if you're not on my list, make sure you go to my bio, click the link, get the free hypnosis session I give you, which I'm redoing. It's so exciting. I tell you, Program Yourself Thin is about to go real big time. It is so exciting. And once again, it is the, not to pat myself on the back, but I've been at this for 30 years. Has it been an easy path? I would say no, it has not, because I have had to create most of this shit. Where would you learn about weight mastery from? Where would you learn how to create a thin, healthy mindset? Yeah, nothing's coming to mind, right? Yeah, nothing came to my mind either. I had to create it from scratch to some degree. Now, I don't want to say I created from scratch, because what I did is I feel like an aggregator. I've read thousands of books at this point, and I'm constantly obsessed with stuff. There's 6,000 private weight loss sessions. And so I keep taking pieces, and I keep learning from people that have successfully kept their weight off. So we're all started from, and just keep iterating, keep optimizing. And sometimes you get big breakthroughs in life when you stick with things. Your weight's no different. Your health's no different. Your happiness is no different. And program yourself, then the program is no different. And so it is very exciting to be right on the precipice of a transformative iteration and optimization that's about to happen. And it's exciting. And yeah, the whole first part of it's going to be free for you. So I'll take you through the training, and it's going to be a quiz. So it's really, really easy. It's easy. And there will be a training that you can watch if you choose to, but it's literally, I'm going to guide you through it just in a survey form. It'll take you 5 minutes, if that. And it's going to change your mind on how you think about your weight. But the other cool part of it is that I'm going to also redo the hypnosis session so that's directly related to your goal weight. It doesn't make sense to you right now, but it will when you do it. And it's going to reinforce everything that you identify as your goal weight in the session, which is going to make the session more powerful. And then I got the training coming for you, showing you 3 steps how to actually achieve that goal weight and live there for the rest of your life on your autopilot. Heyo. And then if you choose to go on with the program you want support, that it'll just lead right into it. And it's all become like a closed loop optimized system. So it's very exciting for me. And I can't wait. Can't wait to get it out there. Melancholy says, my diabetic parents are carnivores and are burnt out, so they'll have planned to go get Costco pie on the way home from their next A1C check. Eat crap 3 months, then carnivore for 3, then test and pie. Shake my head. Yes. Yeah. And that's where we're at. That is very intentional, folks. Again, you're just lambs being led to the slaughter in this culture. The food industry, the diet industry, the beauty industry, the medical industry, they all profit handsomely and wildly off of you being overweight, unhappy, unhealthy. That's simple. The diet industry does not want you to lose weight and live at your goal weight for the rest of your life. They're a business built on a recurring membership model. Most of the diets anyways are owned by the big food companies. The food companies want you to just keep eating as much bullshit as you can. And carnivore supports that. So again, it's not a real solution. The diabetic parents, being carnivore, it's a short-term temporary thing. Who the fuck knows what that stuff does to your body? You're not a carnivore. I don't care what anyone says. Is there a person who can do carnivore their whole lives and thrive? Of course. There's always outliers genetically, right? Probably not you, though. It's a very, very outlier thing. No one's a carnivore. Can some people get away with it? Yeah, sure. Because some people have different ancestral genetics in their body. And it's a very, very rare ancestral genetics that's going to allow you to thrive as a carnivore, because there aren't too many humans that have been carnivores. There are populations that have lived in a place where they're primarily carnivores and they have different genetics than you do. But anyways, that's what I'm here for, is to try and help you all out so you stop the madness, right? Whether that's Susan Powder, remember her? I used to love that. She was a weight loss person. I think she would come out of like just a regular motivational person, right? But she was the big weight loss because she was big and she lost a lot of weight. I wonder what happened to her. But that was her thing. Remember that? She just had the infomercial. Stop the madness. I remember that. What's up, Darlene? Darlene says there's always going to be a buzzword for dieting, but in the end, I've always said it. Will it really matter what I look like when I'm dead? I want a quality of life and functionality. Yeah, of course, Darlene. Right. So, Darlene, I hope you saw that training because you have access. Oh, no, you don't yet, but I will get that to you. As I said, it's going to be available for everyone this week, next week for sure, and I can't wait because it's just a paradigm shifter. It's an absolute paradigm shifter. I know it is. I've known this for a long time, so I can't wait. But yes, of course, we want functionality. We've been led. Listen, your entire life, you've been conditioned to think of your weight in terms of a number, which really is about how you look, and that's a bunch of bullshit. They've created some ideal of how you're supposed to look, and that number represents that, but it's all an illusion. The vast majority of your life is much more influenced by how you feel, not how you look. Because if it's only based by how you look, we'd all be miserable. And none of us look ideal. You know what I mean? We don't look ideal. I don't. You probably don't. Nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? It's not about feeling bad that we don't look ideal and trying to look ideal. It's about saying that's a bunch of fucking bullshit and I'm happy with how I look and feel. I think. But again, we all get to make our own choices. I want to look good too. I mean, to a degree, but what am I working with here? It is funny. I actually had a chat GPT. They've got this, my goodness, that thing. But I said, hey, make an image of what you think I am, what I look like. What do you think? It was crazy. It was pretty cool because it showed me, reading a book, writing notes with a computer. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But it gave me a nice big head of hair. I said, wow, man, I was like, well, I wish I looked like that. Look at me there. But even saying there is, I wish I looked like that. What a funny thing to say. Do you know what I mean? Like we've been so conditioned because at this point it's generational bullshit. Our parents were conditioned by the bullshit. Their parents were a little bit, but it's like, we've been conditioned that we got to look a certain way. And I know on some level we know it's bullshit, but on the emotional level, it's driving us. And it's driving your weight. Your main motivation to lose weight is you want to look different, and it's pinned to that number. And you're missing the whole feeling piece of it. That it's not about looking a certain way, it's about feeling a certain way. It's being the person you want to be. And the more you walk that path and the more you focus on that piece of it, how you look becomes less important. I just think that these beauty ideals are the bullshit. The bullshit. You gotta, I think, and again, I'm a middle-aged guy. Okay. So whatever, take it with a grain of salt. I know that beauty standards are real in the world. Like I understand that they serve a real reality for us. Okay. But they're also bullshit. And so, keep the ones you gotta actually have in your life, but reject the aspects of beauty ideals that you can. That's what I'd say. Julie says Susan Powder lives in a low-income senior living facility. She mismanaged a $50 million a year company. What? Oh my God. How is that possible? That's a crazy story. I didn't know that. Wow. Yeah, I haven't heard of her from her a long time. She kind of had that one thing. Boy, that was the glory days, though. I'm not going to lie. That probably influenced me because I remember the glory days for me anyways. I always loved infomercials. I was always a sucker for them. My favorite one was he had like a mandolin. He would make stuff. I watched that infomercial every time it was on. I just get my head checked for that. But yeah, I loved it. But anyways, yeah, Susan Powder. We had Tony Robbins, who I love. And yeah, that is sad, Julia. Julie met her. Julie, you met everyone. Were you in like entertainment or something? Dr. Oz and Susan Powder. All the people. What's up, Mustafa? Right. And Blue says, how can we maintain motivation when results are slow to come by or stall or plateau? And I'm that question again just reveals this fixation on the number, because the number is an illusion, folks. I'm just letting you know that. But how do you stay maintained when your results see? Because this is embedded in that question is everything you need to know. That how can we maintain motivation when results are slow to come by? Well, what results are you looking for? Now I know what you're all saying. The scale, the weight going down, Jim, the pounds going down. That's the results. But that's what the diet industry's done. They've caused you to laser focus on only the fucking pounds. Does anything else improve when you start eating better, healthier foods? When you start sleeping more? When you start slimming down a little bit? When you start feeling better about yourself? When you start moving more? When you start drinking more water and managing your hydration better? When you quiet your mind down a bit? When you eat less bullshit? When you sleep better? Does anything else improve other than the fucking scale? You know what I mean? This is what I mean. The diet industry is not on your side. The diet industry is the cigarette industry. It's the food industry. And it's just another way to keep you in a loop. So they give you, the diet industry is completely ass backwards. And I know you don't believe that. Oh, don't know, Jim, diets worked for me. No, a diet doesn't work for you. If you lost fucking 100 pounds on a keto diet and now you're 100 pounds up because you couldn't keep the keto diet up, the keto diet didn't work. You've got to change how you think. But again, the results, because I know all of you've just narrowed You know what you're like? It would be like if, oh, I want to make money, but it's like all you care about is the money. So it's like all you care about is looking at the money in the bank, and you never spend any of it. You never do anything with it because all you care about is that number getting as high as it possibly can. It's a recipe for being miserable. Money and weight are very similar in the sense that they're both means to an end. What's the end of being at your goal weight? It's a feeling. What's the feeling you want? Pride, happiness, comfort, confidence. Well, do you not feel more comfortable, confident, and happy now with the weight loss you've achieved, the changes you've made so far? Just because the weight loss stalled, did your feelings stall? Do you not feel more confident, happier, and healthier than you did when you first started? You've been conditioned to completely ignore the feelings. And that's very intentional, I believe, because it leads you to fail. And I think the diet companies want you to fail. I don't think there's a diet company out there that wants you to succeed. Or they just suck and don't know what they're fucking doing. Think about it, folks. Dieting's been around 100 years. There's not one predominant diet that works to help people. They're all fad diets. It's all a bunch of bullshit. It's all a bunch of marketing bullshit. I'm reading about American marketing in the 1920s to 40s. It is fascinating because that's when modern marketing started, and it's fascinating. Well, I mean, I just started it, but one of the concepts is the idea that they have to instill a sense of inferiority in all of us. Because when people are happy and content and healthy, they don't tend to buy as much shit. So from the day we're born, shit, even before now, because it's literally epigenetic at this point, but it's like we're influenced so deeply to feel like shit about ourselves all the time. So the diet industry, the food industry, the beauty industry, the medical industry, there's no fucking there. There's no end point where you get there and you're healthy and you're happy and you're thriving and everything's amazing. You never get there. With weight loss, you get there for 1 minute and then you put the weight back on and you're terrified of it the whole time. You never get to step into the peace, the calm, the enjoyment, the happiness, the confidence, the health, the beauty, the attractiveness, the sexiness, whatever the fuck it is you want. You never get it. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. But it doesn't have to be. It's a mirage in the way that they've set it up for you. So yeah, when I get asked, oh, what do I do when the results stop? Well, what fucking results stop? Are you telling me you don't feel better than you did when you started? I don't know how many pounds you're down. You're down 10 pounds. You tell me you don't feel more happy, more relaxed, more calm, more healthy, 10 pounds down, more proud of yourself? Yeah. So let's see. Susan Powder must have gone from being eating disordered to money power disordered. Yeah, right. That can happen, Joan, right? That's so true. Yeah. One disorder replaces another. That can absolutely, I will tell you, because Program Yourself Thin, what always happens is people, they master their weight and they say, okay, oh shit, I'm still here. Time to work. Use all the stuff we've been doing to master my weight to master myself. Hey-o, just saw a thing on YouTube about her and she's still on that low fat hill. She's ready to come back to the industry after being reached out. So stay tuned. Okay. It'll be interesting to see. All right. She's still obnoxious. All right. Should we get her interviews? Check her out if you want a headache. Yeah, she was. I do remember that. I always remember like stop the insanity or stop the madness or whatever she said. Yeah. Oh, stop the insanity. Was that what it was? Anyways, X says, oh, she was against dieting, but promoted carbs. Yeah. Again, she was back in the day of the low fat hysteria. Anyways, X says, is it water weight that's going down or lost muscle? I mean, when you lose weight, it's a little bit of all, you know what I mean? You know, when you lose weight, it's a little bit of fat, a little bit of muscle, a little bit of water. So it's all of them, but what's up, Astrid? Astrid's feeling good. Yeah. Astrid is feeling good. Astrid's a perfect example of that, right? She made dramatic changes in a core part of her day. It's so easy to overlook the stuff we do. It just is. That's the way our brains are designed too, but we're also conditioned to think shitty as well. Julie says she's driving for Uber Eats now. She's proud of her hard work. Okay. What a wild ride, huh? Life's crazy. That's a crazy story. That's interesting. Astrid's on today. Yep. Connection on TikTok's bad today. Oh boy. We had a bad connection yesterday on the other one. Marie in Blue, I used a calorie calculator and it said I should eat only 1,200 calories a day. Yeah, there you go. I hate calorie calculators. 1,200 calories a day. Good luck. You know, I mean, it's one of the common ones too. It's goofy. I don't think you'd stick with 1,200 calories. And I don't know, it's the saying I live by is that people overestimate how much weight they can lose in a month and underestimate how much weight they can lose in a year. And I think people think, okay, well, 1,200 calories a day, 1,200 calories a day. Well, yeah, obviously 1,200 calories a day, you're going to lose a lot of weight initially. But the secret to the 1,200 calories a day is you got to zoom out and look at what it's going to be over a year. And then it's going to reveal itself. And you're going to quickly realize, oh, I was at 1,200 calories a day for 10 days. And then I was at 3,000 calories, the other 350. Well, that's the problem. So again, you have to understand that dieting is about how to lose weight fast. It's not about how to keep the weight off. Yvette says, I'm glad you talked about the protein hype. My son, who's 27 and very fit, is obsessed with it. Yeah, it's a thing. Young men are absolutely, young men and middle-aged women seem to be the primary. Listen, there's a ton of money. I don't know. I see the backside of this world and I get offers every single day to promote shit. And supplements is number one and protein-based products is number two. And so there's tons and tons and tons of money there. And so anytime there's tons of money, it's gonna skew things. But I also love that you roast us. Well, good. I'm glad. Show up each day. Denise says, lost and gained all my life. Yeah, of course. That's the common pattern, right? Grace, all my favorite shows on. That's awesome. MJ says, you teaching about applying my gifts, talents to my shortcomings with food has been so powerful. Yes, MJ. Yes. That's one of the most powerful techniques I use. Now, again, understand, I work with pretty successful people, and so, they've got skills and talents, tremendous skills and talents in other areas of their lives, but they've never brought those over into their weight loss world. It's very crazy. You can learn a lot studying multiple personality disorder for real. Remember Sybil back in the day? I forgot how many personalities she had, but I was obsessed with that. I just found that fascinating and it was amazing. And the lesson I learned from that is that we're all multiple personality and we can be in our profession, be ambitious, lots of willpower, focus, resilience. And then in our weight loss, have none of those skills. And it's very much, it presents very much like multiple personality disorder, where it's like you have this one defined personality over here and this other completely different one over here. But it's not real. Like you can take those same skills and map them over to your weight. You've just never done it. You never thought to do it. And if you did think you wouldn't know how to do it, but we do that all the time in the program. So I'm glad it's helping you, MJ. Stupid idiot says, I want to do it, but then I know I'll get the yo-yo effect and I do. Yeah, exactly. That's where most dieters end up. I mean, that's the ultimate destination for dieters. And that's very intentional, by the way. Dieting is a $65 billion a year industry, and it's run by, I don't even know how big the food industry is, but its magnitude's bigger. So yeah, the ultimate goal for a dieter is to end up as someone who's scared of dieting because they're scared of yo-yoing. And so just now is just apathetic and doesn't even do it at all. And that's where most of my clients are at right before they start working with me is you think about weight loss 24 hours a day, but you never actually do anything to change it because you're so apathetic that even the idea of losing weight makes you feel bad. Because as soon as you start losing weight, now you just start worrying, when am I going to put it back on? That's when they got you. You're done. You're cooked. You can't do anything. So yeah, that's where it goes. Stupid idiot says, are you vegan? I'm vegan-ish. I eat like clams. I eat some fish here and there. I eat eggs moderately. Don't eat much dairy, but a little bit of it. So I like to say I'm vegan-ish, vegetarian, pescatarian technically, but on the veganish side of things. Denise says, you're funny. Well, thank you. It says, I literally love you. Your videos make so much sense. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah. They do make sense, right? It's kind of like I try to think I'm like water for the person in the desert. It's like, I know you all think about weight so much and you're all so smart and intelligent. You got so many skills and, abilities, and you're never shown how to use them to master your weight. And it all starts with just a mindset, just how you're thinking. So it makes me so happy. I love TikTok for the sense that I can just get these videos out just to kind of shake up your mindset a little bit, just to show you that there's another way over here, you know? So thank you though. That means a lot to me. Wasabi, what's up? I raised mine to 200 pounds after you said we can lose weight in stages, right? Who knew? I thought I had to do it all at once. Oh, it seems so far away. Right? It's like most people's goal weight, literally, it elicits a state of stress in them. And that's the goal. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Oh, it's a dirty world out there. If you really knew, I don't know. I got to put all that. Well, I'm putting it, I'll work on the program first, and then the promotions after it are going to be so good. I'm excited, but, anyways, well, good for you, Asab. I'm proud of you. That's so great. Kathleen says, what are your thoughts on GLP-1s? My thoughts on GLP-1s, let me give context to it. You have to understand that I come from a world of Program Yourself Thin, which is a weight mastery program. So it's really, it takes weight loss, wraps it in personal development, helps you become the best version of you possible while you master your weight for the rest of your life. So you can live at your goal weight for the rest of your life on your autopilot. Okay. That's the goal. And that's what I see people doing every day. Okay. Naturally. And so when I compare that to GLP-1s, well, to me, there's no comparison. Programs are a million times better. Now, if we take GLP-1s and we compare them to diets, GLP-1s are way better. Dieting doesn't work. Dieting doesn't work, folks. It's not your fault. Dieting doesn't work. And so GLP-1s, in my opinion, they're way better than diets because diets don't work. And I think the GLP-1s are better than surgery because, it's not surgery. And the effects are right there. The effects are right there with the gastric bypass, which has had the highest rates of success out of anything else. So in that sense, GLP-1s are the best thing compared to those. And to me, a distant second to Program Yourself Thin. But I know that Program Yourself Thin is really only for a few certain, type of person. And a lot of people don't have the mindset. They don't have the energy, desire, attention to invest that energy into, doing Program Yourself Thin. So in that sense, if you're obese and you just want to lose the weight and you don't have time to do the work, then I think GLP-1s are probably a smart move because the risks of diabetes would pale in comparison to any potential risks of GLP-1s. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of risk to GLP-1s. There's a few, kind of outlier shit. But at this moment, there doesn't seem to be a lot of, things that are scary. Now, that being said, I think the biggest thing about GLP-1s that most people don't know is that the GLP-1s of now, you will lose weight for 12 to 16 months. And then that's that. Then you have to take the GLP-1s for the rest of your life to maintain that weight. So, on average, you're losing 15% of your body weight a year. So, over 16 months, maybe you get to 20%, let's say, let's be generous. And so if 20% of your body weight is going to bring you to a weight you're really happy with, and you want to take that medicine for the rest of your life, then okay. But if you're obese, 20% may not be a number be your ultimate number you want to get to. And so you're going to have to consider that. So again, I think that, to me, it doesn't hold a candle to it for obvious reasons. I mean, Program Yourself Thin, you're improving your whole entire life. You're improving your mindset, your lifestyle, your eating. You're doing it naturally. You're improving your eating, not just cutting calories down. You're improving your health, your happiness, your clarity of mind, your energy, your relationships, your work, whatever else is important to you. So it's a personal development program that helps you master your weight in the most comfortable way possible. So in that sense, it's second, but compared to everything else, it's okay. So that's my thoughts. And if you have more specific question, then I can answer that too. I know a bit about GLP-1s. Karen says, Susan Powder lives in a retirement community and delivers Grubhub. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So people are up to date on her. I'm going to check her out again. Connie says her agent mismanaged her money and she had full faith in their management. Oh my God. That's a horrible story. Yep. Yeah. The comeback's always better than the setback. I love that. That's great. Did you ever have a weight issue? Yeah, I was 50 pounds heavier. 30 years ago, I was 50 pounds heavier. And I dropped the weight, but to me, it's not about the weight loss. It's about the fact that I've lived at the same weight for 30 years. That's the point I always try and aim people at. And I've been at the same weight for 30 years. I had one blip 13 years ago where I put 25 pounds on, but I've maintained the same weight. And that's what I'm always trying to focus you on. Listen, your goal is not to lose weight. It's to live at your goal weight. That distinction is absolutely everything. So what's up, Tupa? Waffle says, do you feel OMAD can break our metabolism in the long term, or that's not a thing? It's kind of a thing. I mean, you can absolutely negatively impact your metabolism. It's definitely possible. But I think the OMAD thing, more importantly, is it's for most people. I have a steady stream of people who have tried this shit. It doesn't work for. So I obviously have a negative bias with all these things, but OMAD for most people is a miserable way to live. No matter what you try and convince yourself, you're obsessed with food. You're hungry all the time. It's miserable. And most people don't want to live that way for the rest of their lives. So again, if that's the case, why do it for a little while? So I can lose weight, Jim. Yeah. Okay. Well, then what happens when you don't want to do it anymore? Again, if you start basing what you're going to do on what's going to give you long-term results, almost instantaneously, you'll start making better decisions about what to do to lose the weight. And so OMAD is, again, just not it's not set up for success because it's a very extreme thing. Can it break your metabolism? I mean, listen, if you're going to do OMAD for the rest of your life, well, what metabolism are you going to break? Your metabolism is going to set to that one meal a day. But if you do OMAD for 2 months and then you go and I can't do something, you go back to eating, and then you do OMAD again for another month and a half, and then you go back to the eat, and then you do OMAD for 4 months, then you go back to eating. Oh yeah. I think that's going to cause all kinds of problems, epigenetically, hormonally, biochemically, psychologically, neurologically. Not anything I'd want to mess with. I would never do that to myself. I feel like that's a recipe for disaster, which is, I think, why the diet industry pushes that kind of thing so much, because again, eventually you kind of get pickled. Your metabolism gets pickled, and I'm using metabolism in a bigger way than you're thinking of it. I'm thinking about all the things I said. I'm thinking your metabolism is your microbiome, your biochemistry, your hormones, your cognitive functioning, your neuro functionings, all of these things, are impacted very negatively, I think, Kathleen says, I got your program. All right. I'm on day 2. Nice job, Kathleen. Just wondering if you think they can work together. Oh yeah, they can absolutely work together. I get people in the program all the time that are on GLP-1s, and it's fine to do that, but I would much rather you just get you in your natural state, and I'll help you. You know what I mean? I'll help you. GLP-1, just a little quick history of it. GLP-1 is a natural produced hormone. Our bodies naturally produce it. And the way that you can create more GLP-1 is by eating more whole natural foods. Because the more whole natural foods you eat, really, I'm talking about fiber, natural fiber. And so natural fiber, you actually don't break down. It just stays in your body and you pass it through. But when that fiber gets to the lower ends of your intestines, it activates what's called the ileal brake. And part of that process is generating more GLP-1 hormone. Chewing more creates more GLP-1 hormone. Just basically real simple. Eating a more whole natural food diet with lots of fiber in it is going to create an Ozempic-like effect, because it's not just GLP-1. GLP-1 is just one hormone that I've identified so far. I love science, but science doesn't know everything. And so what I want to do is I want to say, okay, what's associated with GLP-1? Whole natural foods. So whole natural foods, not only you get an increased GLP-1 effect because you're chewing more, the effects it has in your body, on your ileal brake and other reasons for that, but you're also, when you start eating more whole natural foods, is you're getting more nutrient density. And that's another piece of your hunger. When you don't eat enough calories, your body sends you a hunger signal to eat more. Well, when you don't get enough nutrients in your body sends you a hunger signal to eat more because it thinks you're going to put nutrients in your body, but you're just going to go and eat some bullshit. So when you start putting actual real nutrient dense foods in your body, that has an Ozempic-like effect that goes beyond the GLP-1 hormones. And I experienced this firsthand. I was eating relatively healthy, but when I started doing my lunch salads, my hunger went off a cliff. It was the most profound shift in my hunger of anything I've done. And so I call it the Ozempic effect, because it's not just GLP-1. There's other things going on too, and you can tap into that. And that's just the food side of it. You can also create Ozempic-like effects from the lifestyle pieces as well. Your sleep quality and quantity has a huge impact on your hunger. Your hydration has a huge impact on your hunger. Your relaxation and calm and breathing and oxygenation has a huge impact on your hunger. Your movement, your meditation and quieted mind, your nourishment, all have huge impacts on your hunger. So to me, it's like, again, I've worked with people on the GLP-1s and it's fine, but my preference is that, hey, let's get in here and just work with it naturally. Let's deal with what you really are instead of kind of learning all this and then getting off the GLP-1s and then having to go through it all over again. But that's my opinion. And again, what I go back to rule number one, that there's no right or wrong. There's only what works for you. So whatever works for you. But welcome to the program, Kathleen. I'm happy you're here. And yeah, it's exciting. So OMAD's 1 meal a day. Melancholy says, honestly, I think what killed her program was when the food industry started marketing low-fat everything. It flooded the shelves with food stuff that did the opposite. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that I could see that for sure. Yeah, if she was low-fat, all of a sudden that became passé. Low carb comes in, and now what are you going to do? You know, that's very interesting. Yeah, Whole Foods works if you stay away from industrial foods to promote a diet. You can be successful, whatever style you choose. Yeah, absolutely. And again, that goes back to rule number one, that there's no right or wrong. There's only what works for you. So it's less about like the thing that works. I was literally talking to my doctor today about this, that what most people don't understand, and this is coming down the pike, is individualized medicine, is what they're starting to realize is that every body is so unique. And I point you to blood type, right? You would have never assumed everyone's got walk around different blood types, right? You wouldn't assume that some people can drink milk and thrive on it, and some people it make them sick. You wouldn't know that some people are lactose tolerant and some people aren't. You'd never just think that. But you have to realize, like, we all are evolved from wherever we came from, and we all have very unique genetics that allow us to thrive on different diets. And a lot of that is based on our ancestors, and there's other factors as well. But that's why a diet, like a keto diet's goofy anyways, but it's the idea that there's one diet that everyone on the planet's going to do is silly to the extreme. And so in Program Yourself Thin, it really is about figuring out what works best for you. I think Program Yourself Thin, I think, is diet agnostic. I work with people that are carnivore. I think it's silly, but I'll work with them. Keto people, sure. Low fat people still. I work with anyone, I don't care, because I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to help you figure out what works best for you, makes you the healthiest and happiest. And then I'll help you do that in a way that you can do it on near autopilot, Do you believe in the blood type diet? No, I've seen evidence that's not very effective, and I tend to believe it. That being said, I do believe in the theory that we're all unique and that we should all stop looking at experts telling us what we should do and we can reference experts as a starting point and say, oh, well, my blood's this and it says I should do this. Okay, let me start there. Let me try it out. And then let me see how I feel. If I'm thriving, hey, wow, great. And if I'm not thriving, I feel like shit, well, that doesn't work for me. And I think that's the power. And if you start to approach your weight mastery, that's why I say weight mastery, cut the shit. The dieting is like a never ending hamster wheel. You just get on it, do what you do, get off it. Get on it, do the same thing, get off it. Get on it, do the same thing, get off it. You never get anywhere. I suggest you start walking a path and you start experimenting, do whatever you think is going to work, see what works, discard what doesn't, optimize it. So I have no problem. All the diets, I mean, even keto, there's parts of keto I think make sense for sure. The whole thing as a weight loss theory in and of itself, as a sole thing, is so goofy. I could talk for hours about how fucking stupid it is, but I'm not going to. But again, we can take things that are valuable from any philosophy, but I have not seen one diet, because every diet's one thing anyways. I can tell you this: you're never going to master your weight by changing one thing, by just getting rid of carbs, by just eating 16 hours, just eating 1,000. That's never going to do it. You need a comprehensive, holistic strategy to master your weight. And I will never believe anything else is possible. Jinx says, why can't weight loss be fast? Weight loss can be fast. If you stop eating, you can lose weight very quickly, but then you won't be able to stop eating forever. And then you're going to start eating and then your weight's going to go back up. So again, fast and slow is a real relative term. And I would suggest that losing 30 pounds in a month doing something extreme that you can't maintain and then putting 30 pounds on the next month because you couldn't maintain it is not weight loss at all. So again, the way I would measure your weight loss on your diet, and I know, oh, the fucking keto worked, I lost 10 pounds. Oh, no. Because you know what you got to do? I just thought of this. This is a good one. However long it took you to lose your weight on your diet, right? So let's just say I was on keto for 2 months. I lost 20 pounds in 2 months on keto. Okay. No, you got to add the next 2 months in too. So what happened the next 2 months? You put 15 pounds on? So no. And then the next month you put 10 more pounds on, So no, you got to stop doing that. That's a way to bullshit yourself. You're just going to look at the side where you lost the weight. You're not going to look at the next 2 months where you put all the weight back on. That doesn't make any sense. Julie says, I know this is a bigger topic, but I've been very destructive with eating donuts, etc. I need to get motivated again. Well, here you go, Julie. Again, it's not very destructive with eating donuts. It's an interesting framing of it. It's so interesting because it's funny, like the last month, I would say I've really been caught in a cookie trap. I've been eating a lot of cookies and my eating's gotten off track a bit. And I put a little bit of weight on and I'm a little more off track than I normally am. And I don't mind sharing that with you. In no way do I consider it being very destructive. Now you might be eating boxes of donuts, so it depends how you're doing it, but you're right. It is a bigger topic and I'm happy to talk about that with you if you get on here again. But when it says I need to get motivated again, I will just start with that. You do not need to get motivated again. No, you do not. You never need to do shit, folks. You don't need to lose weight. You don't have to lose weight. You don't need to get motivated. You don't have to get motivated. You either want to get motivated or you don't. So I'm going to volley that back to you, Julie. You don't need to get motivated again at all. You could continue being destructive with donuts. You could completely forget everything you learned. That's an option that's right there in front of you if you choose to accept it. And if you would like to get motivated again and get back on track and start walking that path, that's an option too. It's whichever one you want. RLT says, I even gain weight when I tried intermittent fasting. It's not enjoyable for me and hungry all the time. Yeah. Intermittent fasting, to be honest, it's mostly intermittent fasting is a great way to become a binge eater. Is what I've seen. I see a lot of people just white knuckling it those last couple hours. And then once the gates open up to the eating, they way overeat. So intermittent fasting isn't guaranteed weight loss. If you eat more calories during the 8 hours, then you're still going to gain weight. So yeah, recognize that and just intermittent fasting. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it's good and bad for some people. But if you hate it and it's miserable and it makes you stressed, then it's not good. It's not a guaranteed method of weight loss. Oh, look at that. Lynette just asked that too. So yeah, I believe, intermittent fasting, I use a version of it. I call it nighttime fasting. It means something else because fortunately I was able to kind of stumble into that 30 years ago. I kind of came up with a version of it for myself. That word didn't exist then. So I love aspects of it, but I frame it completely different than intermittent fasting. And so intermittent fasting is just one more thing people trying to squeeze themselves into. Again, most diets are like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And so you can feel yourself fighting against yourself to fast for the 16 hours. And anytime you're fighting against yourself, to me, is an indication you're on the wrong path. So what's the highest fiber bread? I don't know that for 100% sure, but Ezekiel's got to be up there, I would assume. I love Ezekiel bread. Yeah, Judith says it's multifaceted. Yes, absolutely multifaceted. Absolutely. Julie says 2 donuts in one morning. Is that 2 donuts every morning or 2 donuts one morning? I want to get motivated. There you go, Julie. So if you want to get motivated, you'll get motivated. You know how to do it. Okay. And then get on here if you got questions to ask me. But, if you had 2 donuts one morning, I don't know. That's part of the process is learning not to don't instinctively start overreacting. And how destructive is it? If you had 2 donuts one morning, I see your 2 donuts one morning and I raise you. I've made 5 batches of cookies over the last 4 weeks and ate the shit out of them. I was eating I don't know, not consistently, but just this last week, the last batch I made towards the end, I'd be eating 5, 6 cookies a day. Easy. More than that, probably. So I don't consider myself being very destructive. It's funny. I don't frame it that way, but that's a little bit, like you said, it is a little bit of a longer story. He says, it's usually because I'm using food as an emotional coping mechanism. I recognize it. Ultimately realize I'm the driver, not food. For me, my ice cream, John. Yeah, exactly, Biggie. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. This is great. You guys are awesome as usual. Just Jay says keto bread is crazy high in fiber, but it's not naturally occurring. It's weird. Yeah, again, yeah, that's where we're at. I try and get as whole natural food as I can get. And I like Ezekiel bread. Their whole spiel is that it's built on some Bible verse and so it's like an old school recipe for bread using sprouted grains instead of flour. And so the big piece is that there is more fiber in it, but also it's not using flour. So it's absorbed a lot more slowly. So you get a lot more of a satiety effect with it. So big fan of that. But yeah, all right, everyone. Thank you so much again. Great comments, great questions. Appreciate it so much. If you're not in my world yet, please go click the link in my bio or go to Program Yourself. Then go get the free hypnosis session. Watch the video I made. I got the training, how to choose your goal weight coming for you, which is going to be really, really cool. Again, that's going to all be free. And if you ever have questions, I'm on here every Monday through Friday, usually around noon Eastern, where I love to answer your questions and help you out. If you missed the live and want to listen to it, it is a podcast too called Program Yourself Thin. That's on all of the podcast platforms. And yeah, that's it. All right, everyone, have a super day and we'll talk soon. Bye.